Baltimore County wouldn't release this video to us. We had to reach out to the state of Arizona to see why the department is ditching its current firearms just 4 years after purchasing them.
This is an Arizona Department of Public Safety safety bulletin regarding your issued FNS service weapon and other FNS pistols.
The pistol profiled in this video is carried by almost 2,000 Baltimore County police officers.
Do not attempt to recreate the conditions in this video.
The department began to arm officers with the weapon back in 2014. In late August of last year, Arizona sent this video to Baltimore County commanders.
During testing by our crime lab, 2 conditions relating to the full FNS line, the 4-inch, 5-inch, and compact, all in 9mm and .40 caliber, were discovered.
A startling discovery that county officials for years have denied could happen. That is, an officer's gun going off without the trigger being pulled. It's a story Fox 45 began investigating back in 2014. When Baltimore County selected the new pistol officers would carry, the FN pistol ranked 3rd out of 4 possible firearms. Still, the department decided to go with it, even though it scored at the bottom of its own ranking system. A decision then Chief Jim Johnson defended.
I don't want anything out there that's inferior. I won't stand for it. I don't care what it cost. If I made a mistake, which I do not believe we did, we certainly would admit it.
If we had a problem with the firearm, we would stop using a firearm.
Arizona officers found out the firearms do have a problem. It happened during testing, by chance.
Pistols may fire when not intended.
That's right.
Condition number 1, the weapon is pressed against an object.
The weapon the majority of county police carry can go off unexpectedly.
If the trigger is held to the rear when the weapon is pulled away from the object and returns to battery, the weapon may fire.
The second condition described centers around the gun's trigger not properly resetting.
In this condition, a tap rack, any side-to-side or up-and-down movement, a sharp, jarring blow, and even holstering and unholstering will cause the weapon to fire with no further contact with the trigger.
We showed this video to former Maryland State Police Superintendent Ed Norris. What are your thoughts?
Weapon, I mean, how to go. It's obviously, you're going to have accidental discharges for just a jarring blow or holstering the weapon. I mean, it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable.
Under both conditions described by the Arizona Department of Public Safety, the end result is the same. The weapon fires unintentionally. In 2016, the county hired an independent lab to examine the FNS firearm and assist investigators after an officer's holstered firearm went off. The county officer had just walked into the Pikesville precinct. In that case, the department never disclosed its findings, citing it was a personnel matter. It's the same explanation the department provided last week regarding a discharge that injured an officer and sent him to the hospital.
You can't have accidental discharges while these men and women are out patrolling, or at any time, really.
Neil Franklin is an expert in the field of testing and evaluating firearms.
I've never seen that before. And without that video, I guarantee you that an accidental discharge is going to be blamed 100% on the user of that firearm. 100%. This video is extremely valuable.
We requested a copy of this video back in September from the Baltimore County Police Department, and they denied that request. Their letter stated the department was not the custodian of the video. In a separate request for records, we received this interagency email that demanded no one within the county police department release the footage. As far as the Arizona Department of Public Safety, it took us 4 months to get this video.
Absolutely, it was an eye-opening video. That's dangerous for everybody.
Despite the danger, Baltimore County continued to carry the weapons after the manufacturer agreed to replace the part shown to malfunction. During the first day of replacing the questionable piece, an officer at the range accidentally shot himself when his weapon unintentionally went off. The department denied the incident had anything to do with a pistol malfunctioning.
Not thinking that the gun would just fire, because guns are not supposed to fire when the trigger isn't pulled.
It's not until part of the trigger began to fall off the pistol, Baltimore County's police chief decided to replace the 4-year-old pistol the county spent more than $1 million to purchase. The police chief wrote, quote, "The current duty pistol has shown that a catastrophic failure could occur." In a statement from the gun manufacturer, FN America, the company denied the department's claims, saying in part it can emphatically refute the presence of any manufacturing defect. The company goes on to say if the FNS-40 pistols had been properly maintained, the occurrence of, quote, catastrophic failures described by BCPD would have been extremely unlikely. The company also states the FNS pistol has been tested thoroughly and certified for law enforcement duty use.
What was in that video is not a maintenance issue. We're talking about a firearm that's just a couple years old. It's not a maintenance issue. Not even close.
We're told it could take as long as 6 months before the gun profiled in this video is no longer being carried by Baltimore County Police. Among the hundreds of records I've gone through, there is one that is especially interesting. It references an incident in which the FN, quote, malfunctions. The shooter complained the trigger didn't reset. As a member of the Baltimore County firearm training team examined that weapon, it unexpectedly went off, just like the one in the video. The only difference is this incident happened as the first group of officers were being assigned their new duty weapons back in 2014. Based on what's in this letter, not only was the department aware of this potential problem at that point, so was FN America. You can review the company's entire statement by going to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We're just in a neighborhood making sure people are safe.
Baltimore firefighters have installed free smoke alarms for decades across the city. Since 2010, those free alarms have contained a 10-year lithium battery. In December, firefighters sounded a different alarm. It came after the discovery of smoke alarms that look like this. We were sent this photo of yet-to-be installed smoke detectors from a city firehouse.
They were just deformed.
At first, the department assumed it was an isolated incident, but then more of the melted smoke alarms turned up in another firehouse. The discovery prompted a series of emails ordering fire companies to, quote, immediately inspect all smoke alarms in their possession. They're told any detector with a date of January 16, 2017 must be removed. On January 4th, we contacted the company that manufactured the smoke alarm, Kidda. 19 days later, a company representative told us the devices were being collected and the company had not yet determined the root cause of the issue. Here's how you can tell if you have one of these smoke detectors. On the back is a date. If that date says January 16th, 2017, then you have one of the smoke alarms from that questionable batch. The American Red Cross donated these smoke alarms to the Baltimore City Fire Department. According to the American Red Cross, some of these questionable smoke alarms may have been installed in city homes. We asked the Baltimore City Fire Department if it installed any of the smoke alarms. No one would tell us. In an emailed statement from the fire department, we were told after the discovery of the melted smoke alarms, fire department personnel contacted the manufacturer, who advised the department to, quote, remove all smoke alarms dated January 16, 2017, and not to install any from that batch until they were able to determine what happened.
Those were just a couple dilapidated ones that were sent back to the American Red Cross that would send them back to the manufacturer.
We asked Kidda if the 10-year lithium battery might be to blame. A company representative told us through email, quote, we believe the damage to the alarms occurred from extreme external heat. Neither Kidda nor the Baltimore City Fire Department would tell us exactly how many people might have a smoke alarm from the questionable batch in their home. What we do know is since 2017, the fire department has installed thousands of smoke alarms in homes across Baltimore City. We asked several times to sit down with a fire department representative. A spokeswoman declined. We've since filed a public information request for fire department records. We'll, of course, share what we find out once those records are turned over. We have City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby on camera as she describes the sort of distribution cases her office would still pursue. With those examples, we began to search for cases that came close to fitting that same criteria. We wanted to see for ourselves What exactly is happening? It's a broken brake light that leads to this traffic stop in southwest Baltimore, a routine stop that's recorded by an officer's body-worn camera.
How much weed you have, man? Is this it? All right, dude. What is this, like an ounce?
An ounce is roughly 28 grams, which is nearly 3 times what Maryland law allows most people to carry without being criminally charged. Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
There is no public safety value in prosecuting marijuana possession. Furthermore, there is no link between marijuana possession and violent crime.
Earlier this year, Mosby announced plans to stop prosecuting cases that involve simple possession of marijuana.
Put your hands on top of your head.
In the case of this traffic stop, it appears the driver might fall into that simple possession of marijuana category, even though an ounce is nearly 3 times over the legal limit. But as this traffic stop progresses, the officer finds even more suspected marijuana.
Oh my God! It never ends. Never ends, man. Got more? This guy said, yeah, I got a little bit of weed.
In the trunk, the officer comes across mason jars and plastic bags.
Oh, Jesus.
The officer writes in his report, the large amount of suspected marijuana, the way it was packaged and concealed, leads me to believe the driver was in fact utilizing the illegal CDS, or controlled dangerous substance, for the purpose of street-level distribution.
We will be prosecuting possession with intent to distribute.
And it's that intent Mosby indicated her office would focus on in the prosecution of distribution cases.
What that means is, like, is there baggies that would indicate that there's some sort of distribution? Are there scales that would indicate that there would be intent to distribute these narcotics? Those are just a couple of examples.
It's similar to what the officer notes in this police report when he writes the suspected marijuana is broken down into different gram increments and in different types of packaging, similar to what Mosby said her office would use to determine whether to file drug charges. But when we searched the state's electronic court records for this case, we discovered it did not exist. That's because the city state's attorney dropped the charges. Mosby's office turned down an offer to discuss the matter on camera. They instead sent this statement, saying, quote, after a thorough review of the facts, our prosecutors determined that this case did not extend beyond mere possession and consistent with our office policy not to prosecute mere possession of marijuana, we elected to release the defendant without charges.
Like 3 pounds of weed, dude.
A decision made despite the officer finding what he believes to be several pounds of marijuana, baggies that could be used to deal, and a large amount of money.
Basically, what she's doing is giving a sanction that it's okay. Keep doing what you're doing.
Mike Gimbel is considered an expert in the field of drug rehabilitation.
Everyone knows that drugs are the leading cause of crime and violence, not only in Baltimore, but in every city and county in this country.
We reached out to the Baltimore Police Department. They too sent a statement. It says in part, in an effort to increase the number of convictions that result from drug arrests, we are now taking a closer look at cases that prosecutors decided not to pursue to see what, if anything, we could have done differently that might have resulted in a better outcome.
End of arrest.
Although the charges were dropped, Baltimore police tell me the marijuana officer seized during that traffic stop remains in the custody of the Baltimore Police Department.